The clock on the wall showed 11:47 p.m. when Lisa finally pushed through the glass doors of Tommy's diner. Her scrubs were wrinkled, her feet ached, and all she wanted was to sit down somewhere quiet. The hospital had been crazy busy that day. 3 emergency cases, 2 difficult patients, and a computer system that kept crashing. Lisa felt like she'd been running around for 16 hours straight, which she basically had. Tommy's diner was one of those old-school places that never seemed to change. Red vinyl booths, black and white checkered floors, and the same menu that had been there for probably 20 years. The coffee was strong, the food was simple, and most importantly, it stayed open all night. Perfect for someone like Lisa who worked crazy hours at the hospital. She waved at old Pete behind the counter. Pete had owned this place forever and knew every night shift worker in town. He was wiping down glasses with a towel that had seen better days, humming some old song under his breath. The dinner rush was long over, and the place had that peaceful late-night feeling that Lisa loved. Lisa slid into her usual booth near the window. From here, she could see the empty parking lot and the highway beyond it. A few trucks rolled by, every now and then, their headlights cutting through the darkness. The booth's vinyl was cracked in places, but it was comfortable in that familiar way. That's when she noticed her. In the corner booth, sitting alone, was a woman Lisa had never seen before. And in a small town like theirs, you noticed new faces. The woman sat very straight, almost too straight, like she was trying to take up as little space as possible. Her clothes caught Lisa's attention right away. They looked expensive but strange somehow. The fabric seemed to shimmer slightly under the diner's harsh fluorescent lights, changing color when she moved. The woman's hair was long and dark, pulled back in a way that showed off her sharp cheekbones. But it was her posture that really got Lisa's attention. She sat like someone who was trying very hard to stay invisible, while also looking like she might bolt for the door at any second. Lisa had seen that look before in her work at the hospital. It was the look of someone who was scared, tired, and trying to be brave about it. Old Pete shuffled over to Lisa's table with his usual gruff smile. "The usual tonight, honey?" "Yeah, Pete. Turkey sandwich and fries. And maybe some of that apple pie if you've got any left." Pete nodded and headed back to the kitchen. As he passed the corner booth, he stopped by the mysterious woman. Lisa couldn't hear what he said, but she saw the woman shake her head and point to her nearly empty water glass. Pete shrugged and moved on. Lisa tried not to stare, but something about the situation bothered her. The woman had been sitting there with nothing but water for who knows how long. Her hands rested on the table, and Lisa noticed they were shaking slightly. Not from cold, but from something else. Hunger, maybe. The woman picked up the menu again, studying it like she was trying to memorize every word. Her eyes moved across the prices, and Lisa saw her face fall slightly. She set the menu down and stared out the window at the dark highway. Lisa had been a nurse for 8 years, and you develop instincts about people. You learn to spot when someone is in trouble, even when they're trying to hide it. This woman was definitely in trouble. Her clothes might look fancy, but Lisa noticed they were wrinkled like she'd been wearing them for days. Her shoes, which probably cost more than Lisa made in a week, were scuffed and dusty. The small bag beside her looked like it contained everything she owned. Most telling of all was the way she looked at food. When Pete brought out an order for another customer, the woman's eyes followed the plate with unmistakable longing. She swallowed hard and looked away quickly, but Lisa had caught it. This woman was hungry, really hungry. Pete brought Lisa's sandwich, and the smell of turkey and fresh bread filled the air. Normally, Lisa would have dug in right away. She was starving after her long shift. But instead, she found herself watching the woman in the corner booth. The woman was gathering her things now, clearly preparing to leave. She reached into her small bag and pulled out what looked like a few crumpled bills and some loose change. She counted it carefully, her face showing disappointment. Whatever money she had, it wasn't enough for even the cheapest item on the menu. She stood up slowly, leaving the small pile of change on the table. Even from across the room, Lisa could see it wasn't enough to cover even a cup of coffee. The woman's pride was evident in the way she held herself. walking toward the door with her head high despite her obvious situation. Lisa's grandmother used to tell her stories about coming to America with nothing but hope. How strangers had helped her family when they needed it most. How a simple meal or a kind word could change everything for someone who had lost their way. Looking at this mysterious woman, Lisa saw something familiar. Not just hunger, but the kind of deep exhaustion that comes from being lost and alone in an unfamiliar place. The woman moved like someone who had been traveling for a long time, carrying more than just the small bag over her shoulder. Lisa made a decision. She pushed her untouched sandwich aside and stood up. Her heart was beating faster than usual, the way it did when she had to approach a scared patient at the hospital. Some people needed help but were too proud or too afraid to ask for it. The woman was almost at the door when Lisa caught up with her. "Excuse me?" Lisa said softly, not wanting to startle her. The woman turned around and Lisa got her first good look at her eyes. They were the most unusual color she'd ever seen, almost like looking at the ocean on a sunny day. But more than their color, it was what Lisa saw in them that made her breath catch: fear, exhaustion, and something that looked like hope that had been disappointed too many times. Lisa smiled, the same gentle smile she used with her patients. "I just got my food, but I'm actually not very hungry tonight. Long day at work, you know. I was wondering if you'd like to join me. I really hate eating alone." The woman's eyes widened in surprise. For a moment, she just stared at Lisa like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. The woman stood frozen at the diner door, her hand still on the handle. Lisa could see the internal battle playing out on her face. Pride fighting against desperation, hope wrestling with fear. It was a look Lisa had seen countless times in the hospital when patients were too embarrassed to admit they needed help. The woman started, then stopped. Her voice had the strangest accent Lisa had ever heard. It wasn't from anywhere Lisa could place. Not Spanish, not French, not even close to the Eastern European accents she sometimes heard from the immigrant families at the hospital. This was something entirely different, musical and flowing like water over stones. "Please," Lisa said gently. "I really would appreciate the company. Night shifts can be lonely, you know?" The woman's shoulders seemed to relax just slightly. She looked back at Lisa's booth, then at the untouched sandwich sitting there. Lisa could practically see her stomach cramping with hunger. "My name is Lisa," she said, extending her hand. "I work at the hospital down the road. Just finished a really long shift." The woman looked at Lisa's outstretched hand for a moment, then took it. Her skin was surprisingly warm, and Lisa noticed her hands were softer than they should be for someone who looked like she'd been traveling rough. "I am Maya," the woman said after a pause, like she had to think about it. "And I have no money to pay." Lisa's heart squeezed. The honesty in Maya's voice was heartbreaking. No excuses, no elaborate story, just the simple truth delivered with quiet dignity. "That's okay," Lisa said. "Really? Come on, let's sit down." They walked back to Lisa's booth together. Maya moved with an odd grace, like she was floating just slightly above the ground. Everything about her seemed different, from the way she held herself to the way her eyes took in every detail of the diner, like she was seeing such a place for the first time. Maya slid into the booth across from Lisa, sitting on the very edge, like she might need to run at any moment. Her strange clothes made soft sounds when she moved, like wind through leaves. Up close, Lisa could see that what she'd thought was expensive fabric was actually something she'd never seen before. It seemed to shift and change in the light, almost alive. "So," Lisa said, pushing the plate toward Maya, "where are you from?" Maya's eyes fixed on the sandwich like it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. Her hands trembled as she reached for it, then stopped halfway. "I cannot take your food," she whispered. "You're not taking it," Lisa said firmly. "I'm giving it to you." "There's a difference." Maya looked up at her with those incredible eyes. Why? It was such a simple question, but Lisa found herself really thinking about the answer. Why was she doing this? She didn't know this woman. For all she knew, Maya could be dangerous, or lying, or running from something, but looking into Maya's face. Lisa saw something that reminded her of herself on her worst days. The exhaustion of someone who'd been strong for too long. The fear of someone who was completely alone in the world. Because you need it, Lisa said simply. And because someone helped my family once when we needed it. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back quickly. She picked up half of the sandwich with shaking hands and took a small, careful bite. The sound she made was barely audible, but Lisa heard it. Pure relief, mixed with gratitude. "Tell me about your travels," Lisa said, trying to keep the conversation light while Maya ate. "How long have you been on the road?" Maya swallowed and set down the sandwich for a moment. "Many days. I have been searching for others like me. My family was scattered when we had to leave our home." "Refugees?" Lisa asked gently. Maya nodded slowly. "Yes, that is your word for it. We had to leave everything behind when the troubles came." Lisa had worked with refugee families at the hospital. She'd seen the trauma, the confusion, the way people could be completely lost in a new culture. But something about Maya's story felt different, deeper somehow. "Where was home?" Lisa asked. Maya was quiet for a long moment, chewing thoughtfully. "Very far from here, a place where the sky was different colors and the seasons followed different patterns. We lived in harmony with the land for many generations, but then..." She trailed off, staring out the window. "War?" Lisa prompted gently. "Something like that. The air became poison, the water turned bad. The earth itself seemed to reject us. We had no choice but to leave." Maya's voice carried a sadness so deep it made Lisa's chest ache. Pete wandered over with the coffee pot. "More coffee, ladies?" Lisa nodded and Pete filled her cup. He looked at Maya questioningly. "Could we get another cup?" Lisa asked. "And maybe some of that apple pie?" Pete grinned. "Coming right up." As Pete walked away, Maya looked at Lisa with wonder. "You are very kind to strangers." "You're not a stranger anymore," Lisa said. "You're Maya, and you're sitting in my booth sharing dinner with me." Maya smiled for the first time, and it transformed her entire face. She looked younger, less afraid. "In my homeland we have a saying, 'The stars shine brightest when the night is darkest.' I think I understand it better now." Lisa felt a strange warmth in her chest. There was something special about this woman, something that made her feel like this meeting wasn't just chance. "How long since you've eaten?" Lisa asked quietly. Maya looked down at her hands. 3 days. I tried to find work, but I do not understand your ways. I do not have the right papers. I spoke to people, but they looked at me like I was..." She struggled for the word. "Like you were what?" "Like I was not human," Maya whispered. The words hit Lisa like a punch to the stomach. She'd seen that look before, the way some people treated anyone who was different, the way fear made people cruel. "You are human," Lisa said firmly, "and you deserve kindness just like anyone else." Maya's eyes filled with tears again, but this time she didn't try to hide them. Maya wiped her tears with the back of her hand, trying to compose herself. But Lisa could see the dam was about to break. 3 days without food, alone in a strange place, treated like she didn't belong anywhere. Lisa's heart went out to this mysterious woman who was trying so hard to stay strong. "Hey," Lisa said softly, reaching across the table to gently touch Maya's arm. "It's okay. You're safe here." That simple touch seemed to undo something in Maya. Her carefully held composure crumbled like a wall made of sand. The tears came freely now, silent but steady, rolling down her cheeks and dropping onto the diner table. "I am sorry," Maya whispered, her voice shaking. "I do not usually... I try to be strong." "You've been strong enough," Lisa said. "Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let someone help you." Pete appeared with the apple pie and an extra coffee cup, took one look at Maya's tears and quietly set everything down without a word. He'd been running this diner long enough to know when to give people space. As he walked away, he caught Lisa's eye and nodded toward Maya with a look that said, "Take care of her." Maya stared at the slice of pie like it was some kind of miracle. "I have not seen such food in so long." She picked up the fork with trembling fingers. "In my homeland, we had fruits that tasted like starlight and vegetables that grew in colors you have never seen. But this—" She took a small bite and closed her eyes. "This is the most beautiful thing I have tasted in this world." Lisa watched Maya eat, noticing things that didn't quite add up. The way Maya held the fork was slightly off, like she wasn't used to the shape. The way she examined each bite before eating it, as if she could see things about the food that weren't visible. And strangest of all, the way she seemed to know exactly what was in everything without being told. "This has cinnamon from trees that grow in warm places," Maya said suddenly, "and the apples were picked when the moon was full. The person who made this has kind hands." Lisa blinked. "How could you possibly know all that?" Maya paused, realizing she'd said too much. My people, we are very good at reading things. It is hard to explain in your language. Try me," Lisa said gently. Maya set down her fork and looked directly at Lisa. "You work with healing, yes? Sometimes you know things about your patients that they do not tell you. You can see their pain, feel their fear. You understand them in ways that go beyond words." Lisa nodded slowly. That was exactly how she felt. At work sometimes, like she could sense what people needed before they asked. "My people, we all have this gift. But stronger, we can read the essence of things, the story that everything carries." Maya touched the coffee cup. "This cup has been held by thousands of hands. Most were tired like yours. Some were sad. A few were celebrating good news. I can feel all of it." Lisa stared at Maya, trying to process what she was hearing. That's incredible. Is it?" Maya asked sadly. "In my world it was normal. Here it makes me different. Dangerous, perhaps. People fear what they do not understand." "I'm not afraid," Lisa said, and she meant it. "I'm amazed." Maya's eyes searched Lisa's face, looking for signs of fear or disgust. Finding none, she seemed to relax slightly. "Where exactly are you from, Maya?" Lisa asked carefully. "And please, tell me the truth." Maya was quiet for a long moment, staring into her coffee. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "My people call our homeland Ethel. It was a place between worlds. Not quite in your reality, but close enough to touch it. We lived there for thousands of your years, watching over the balance between what you call the natural world and what lies beyond." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "Between worlds? Your scientists speak of dimensions, of parallel universes. They are not wrong, but they do not understand how thin the barriers can be. My people were the guardians of one such barrier. We kept the balance, made sure that nothing dangerous crossed from one side to the other." Maya took another sip of coffee, gathering her courage to continue. But something went wrong. The barrier began to fail and our world started to bleed into others. The air became toxic to us. The very ground rejected our presence. We had to leave, but the crossing scattered us across many different worlds, many different realities. Lisa sat back in the booth, her mind reeling. Part of her wanted to dismiss this as the ramblings of someone who'd been through trauma. But looking into Maya's eyes, seeing the pain there, she found herself believing every word. "So you're not from Earth?" Maya shook her head slowly. "I am from everywhere and nowhere now. My family, my people, we are scattered like seeds in the wind. I have been searching for them, jumping from world to world, following traces of their essence. This is the closest I have come to finding any of them. Here, in our little town? Not here exactly, but nearby. I can feel them, faint but present. 3 of my kind are within a day's journey from this place. But I am so tired, so hungry, so lost in your ways. I did not know how to continue searching." Lisa reached across the table and took Maya's hands in hers. They were warm and soft, but she could feel the tremor of exhaustion in them, You don't have to search alone anymore, Lisa said firmly. I'll help you. Maya's eyes widened in shock. You would do that? For someone like me? Someone like you? Lisa smiled. You mean someone brave enough to cross between worlds to find her family? Someone kind enough to worry about taking food from a stranger? Someone who's been through hell but still says thank you for a simple sandwich? Maya's tears started again. But these were different. These were tears of relief, of hope, of gratitude so deep it couldn't be put into words. I do not understand why you help me, Maya whispered. Lisa thought about her answer carefully. Because everyone deserves to find their way home. And because I think maybe we were meant to meet. Maya stared at Lisa with wonder, as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. You truly mean this? You would help me find my people? Lisa nodded without hesitation. Of course. But first, you need rest. You need a safe place to stay. When's the last time you slept in a real bed? Maya's laugh was hollow. I do not remember. I have been sleeping in, what do you call them? The places where travelers rest their vehicles. Parking lots, Lisa said, her heart sinking. You've been sleeping in parking lots, and sometimes in the forest at the edge of your towns. I tried to find shelter in your buildings, but people always made me leave. They said I needed papers, money, things I do not have. Lisa felt anger rise in her chest, not at Maya, but at a system that could let someone like this fall through the cracks. That's not right. Nobody should have to sleep outside. In my world, we did not have such problems. Everyone had a place, a purpose. We took care of each other. Maya's voice carried a deep sadness. But I am learning that your world is different. Harder. Pete wandered over again, this time carrying a fresh pot of coffee and wearing a concerned expression. Everything okay over here, Lisa? Lisa looked up at the old man who had become like a father to all the night shift workers. Pete, this is Maya. She's having a rough time. Pete studied Maya with kind eyes. You got somewhere to stay tonight, honey? Maya shook her head silently. Pete scratched his gray beard. Well, that won't do. Lisa, you remember my nephew, Danny? He's got that little apartment above the hardware store, been empty for months. I bet he'd let her stay there for a while. Lisa's eyes lit up. Pete, that's perfect. Could you call him? Already thinking about it, Pete said with a grin. Anyone who's a friend of Lisa's is a friend of mine. Be right back. As Pete headed to the phone behind the counter, Maya turned to Lisa with tears in her eyes again. Why are you both so kind? I am a stranger. I am not even from your world. Maybe that's exactly why, Lisa said thoughtfully. Sometimes it takes someone from the outside to remind us what really matters. Maya finished the last bite of her pie and sat back in the booth. For the first time since Lisa had seen her, she looked relaxed. Can I tell you something strange? After everything you've already told me, I think I can handle strange. Maya smiled. When I first arrived in your world, I was terrified. Everything was so different. The sounds, the smells, the way energy moves through things. I thought I would never find my way, never find my people. She paused, looking out the window at the dark highway. But tonight, sitting here with you, I feel something I had not felt since leaving my home. Hope. Real hope. Not just the desperate kind that keeps you moving when you want to give up. Lisa felt a warmth spread through her chest. I'm glad. Really. Glad. There is more. Maya continued. My people, we believe that when someone is lost, the universe sends guides to help them find their way. We call them light bringers. I think you might be mine. Lisa blushed. I'm just a nurse who happened to be in the right place at the right time. No, Maya said firmly. You are more than that. I can see it in your essence. You heal people, not just their bodies, but their spirits. You make them feel less alone in the world. That is a gift more precious than any of the abilities my people possess. Pete returned with a huge smile on his face. Good news, ladies. Danny says Maya can stay in the apartment as long as she needs. Won't cost her anything either. He's got a soft spot for people down on their luck. Maya covered her face with her hands, overwhelmed. I cannot. This is too much kindness. I do not know how to repay any of you. You don't have to repay anything, Lisa said. But there is something you could do if you're willing. Maya looked up hopefully. Anything. Tell me more about your abilities, the way you can read the essence of things. Maybe it could help people at the hospital. Maya's eyes widened. You would want me to use my gifts to help others? If you're comfortable with it. I've seen so many patients who are scared, alone, confused. Sometimes the doctors and nurses can't figure out what's really wrong with them. Maybe you could help us understand what they truly need. Maya was quiet for a long moment, then nodded slowly. In my world, healing was sacred work, the highest calling. I would be honored to help. Lisa felt excitement building. There's this little girl, Amy, who's been in the children's ward for weeks. The doctors can't figure out why she won't get better. All her tests come back normal, but she just fades a little more each day. Her parents are desperate. I could try to read her essence, Maya said carefully, but I must warn you, sometimes what I see is not what people want to hear. What do you mean? Maya chose her words carefully. Sometimes illness is not just in the body. Sometimes it comes from the spirit being broken, from connections being severed, from the heart losing its will to continue. These things cannot be healed with your medicines. Lisa leaned forward. But they can be healed? With the right care, yes. But it requires more than treating symptoms. It requires understanding the whole person, their connections to others, their purpose in the world. Pete had been listening from behind the counter, and now he approached their table again. You ladies talking about healing? Lisa nodded. Maya has some unusual insights about people's health. Pete's eyes lit up. Well, I'll be. You know, my wife Ruth has been feeling poorly for months. Doctors can't find anything wrong, but she's just not herself. Think you might take a look at her sometime? Maya looked surprised. You would trust me with someone you love? Honey, Pete said with a chuckle. Anyone who can make Lisa light up like this after the day she's had must be pretty special. Besides, sometimes the best healers are the ones who see things differently. Maya turned to Lisa. Is this real? Are you really offering me a chance to help people again? More than that, Lisa said. I'm offering you a chance to belong somewhere, to be part of something meaningful while you search for your family. Maya's voice was barely a whisper. I had given up hope of ever belonging anywhere again. Well, now you do, Lisa said firmly. We'll figure out the details tomorrow. Tonight you're going to sleep in a real bed, and tomorrow we'll start helping you find your people. Maya reached across the table and took Lisa's hands. Thank you for seeing me as more than just a lost stranger. Lisa squeezed her hands gently. Thank you for reminding me that the most important things in life are the connections we make with each other. 3 months had passed since that life-changing night at Tommy's diner, and Lisa could hardly believe how much everything had transformed. She walked through the hospital corridors with a spring in her step that hadn't been there before, heading toward the new wellness center that had become the talk of the entire medical community. The center occupied what used to be an unused wing of the hospital. With Maya's help and some generous donations from grateful families, they had turned it into something special. Soft lighting replaced the harsh fluorescence, plants filled every corner, and the whole space hummed with an energy that made people feel better just by walking through the doors. Lisa found Maya in the children's section, sitting cross-legged on the floor with little Amy, the girl who had been mysteriously ill for so long. Amy was laughing, something her parents hadn't heard in months. In her hands, she held a small crystal that seemed to glow with its own inner light. How's she doing? Lisa asked quietly, not wanting to interrupt the session. Maya looked up with a smile that had become so much brighter over the past few months. Much better. The disconnect I sensed in her spirit is almost completely healed. She should be ready to go home next week. Lisa shook her head in amazement. Maya's success rate was unlike anything the medical staff had ever seen. Not through magic or miracles, but through her unique ability to see what was really troubling people beyond their physical symptoms. Dr. Martinez wants to talk to you again about documenting your methods, Lisa said. He's fascinated by how you approach healing. Maya stood gracefully, ruffling Amy's hair as she did. I keep telling him, there is no method that can be written down. Each person is different. Each healing is unique. You cannot put that in a textbook. I know, but he's excited about integrating your approach with traditional medicine. You've helped more patients in 3 months than some specialists help in years. It was true. Maya had a gift for seeing beyond the surface, for understanding the deep connections between emotional pain and physical illness. She couldn't cure everything, but she could often find the root cause that doctors missed. Amy tugged on Maya's sleeve. Will you come see me tomorrow? Of course, little star, Maya said, using the nickname she'd given Amy. But I think tomorrow, your mama and papa will have some very good news for you. Amy clapped her hands excitedly and ran off to find her parents. Lisa watched her go, remembering how weak and listless she'd been just a few weeks ago. You've given that family their daughter back, Lisa said. We gave her back to herself, Maya corrected. I just helped her remember who she was supposed to be. They walked together toward Maya's small office, which she'd filled with plants and crystals that seemed to pulse with gentle energy. On the HFY walls were thank you cards from dozens of families, photos of patients who'd recovered, and certificates from medical conferences where Maya had been invited to speak. Any word from your people today? Lisa asked gently. Maya's expression grew thoughtful. Yes, actually. I felt them this morning during meditation. They are getting closer. I think within the next few days we will finally meet. Lisa felt a pang of sadness mixed with joy. She was thrilled that Maya would soon reunite with her family, but she couldn't imagine life without her friend anymore. Maya seemed to sense her thoughts. You know I will not leave you, yes? My people, when we find each other again, we are planning to stay in this area. This world has become home to us in ways we did not expect. Really? Lisa's heart lifted. Really, we have found something here that we lost when our world was destroyed. Purpose, community, the chance to help others. Why would we leave that behind? They entered Maya's office to find old Pete waiting for them, his face glowing with happiness. Maya, girl, I had to come tell you myself. Ruth went to the doctor today for her follow-up tests. Everything came back perfect. He said whatever you did, keep doing it because she's healthier now than she's been in 20 years. Maya hugged the old man warmly. Ruth did the healing herself. I just helped her see what she needed to release. Well, whatever you want to. Call it you gave me my wife back. Danny wanted me to tell you the apartment is yours for as long as you want it. Rent-free. Consider it our way of saying thank you. After Pete left, Lisa and Maya sat in comfortable silence for a while. The afternoon sun streamed through the windows, making Maya's unusual clothes shimmer with that strange, beautiful light. Can I ask you something? Lisa said. Always. That first night, in the diner, were you really just hungry? Or did you know somehow that we were meant to meet? Maya smiled mysteriously. Both, I think. I was definitely hungry. But my people, we feel the currents of destiny more strongly than yours do. I knew something important was going to happen that night. I just did not know what. And now? Now, I know that sometimes when you lose everything, the universe gives you exactly what you need to find your way home. Not the home you left behind, but the home you were always meant to discover. Lisa felt tears prick her eyes. I feel the same way. Before I met you, I was just going through the motions. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. Now every day feels meaningful. That is because you remembered who you really are, Maya said. A healer, a light bringer, a person who sees the best in others and helps them see it too. A soft chime came from Maya's communication device, something she'd crafted herself that could detect the energy signatures of her people. Her eyes widened as she looked at it. They are here, she whispered. My family. They are in the town square. Lisa jumped up. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. They hurried through the hospital corridors, past staff members who called out greetings and well wishes. Everyone knew Maya's story now, and everyone was rooting for her reunion. As they reached the parking lot, Maya stopped suddenly and turned to Lisa. Before we go, I need you to know something. That night when you offered me your meal, when you saw past my strangeness and chose kindness, you did not just save my life. You reminded me that there is goodness in every world, hope in every darkness. You taught me that home is not a place you find, but something you build with the people who care about you. Lisa hugged her friend tightly. You taught me the same thing. You showed me that the most important healing we can do is helping others. Remember, they're not alone. Together they headed toward the town square, toward a reunion that would change everything once again, but this time they faced the unknown together. As friends, as family, as proof that sometimes the most beautiful connections come from the most unexpected places. The story of the alien woman who broke down in tears over a simple meal had become something much bigger. It had become a story about home, about belonging, about the incredible power of human kindness to bridge any gap and heal any wound.